Junki is a PE teacher, taking on a swimming class of overexcited female students. He has a female assistant to drill the girls through a warm-up session, and the students obediently follow through, one of them gushing about how attractive Junki is. The girls are given the clear to get into the pool, and they're rather excited and noisy about it. Both instructors wearily give instructions for them to focus, Junki wanting them to stop playing around. A good number of them are just littered all over, on the steps, full of squeals. One student in her swimsuit stands out. She's alone and quiet, and moving with purpose, to the highest of steps, until she's standing over the highest of planks, hovering over a swimming pool. There are whispers of questions, asking what she's up to. This can't be good. She soon has everyone's attention, and Junki and the other instructor call for her to quit it. The girl goes ahead to jump into the pool, sinking right down to the pool's bed. Junki is momentarily confused before approaching the pool. He dives in, and the girl starts smiling on seeing her hero. He scoops her into his arms and pushes them both to the surface. Someone comments that the girl, Young-eun, unapologetic and seemingly satisfied with her action, is nuts. Junki asks her if she's fine, but she's too busy trying to contain her happiness over having him so close. Junki smokes a cigarette with a chopstick on the balcony of his apartment window. It's a weird way to smoke, and when his pregnant wife Seo-yeon comes into the apartment looking for him, then it's clear why. He lies. He's on the balcony, looking for something, but it's a pathetic lie she instantly sees through. She knows he's been smoking because she can smell the cigarette, and she's not happy about it. They're in the process of moving into the apartment with boxes littered about. Junki looks for his sportswear and ball, with the intent to watch a rugby match. Seo-yeon would prefer his only intent is to watch and not play, because she's not trying to have a handicapped husband, while in the process of having their child. Junki supervises a dodgeball game from the bleachers. His fellow coach, Min-ju, joins him on the bench, striking small talk. Junki invites her over to their new apartment when she has the chance. He soon joins the students on the field, making it more interesting. Part of the participants is Young-eun, who dodges the ball for a while, but decides to take an impact at some point. The game immediately stops, as the force of the ball hitting her pushes her to the ground. Junki gets closer to check on her, and in return, she wears an awestruck look. At the school's clinic, Junki tends to Young-eun's bruised knee. He calmly berates her for staying in the ball's way, in an attempt to catch it, but Young-eun replies that she's not afraid, not of dodgeball, or of anything in particular. He tells her he was the same when he was younger, and Young-eun wants to know what has changed. Junki doesn't see a reason for their conversation to get more personal, so Young-eun shoves his face against her breast. Her aim is to know his fears and scare him. Junki warns her not to play games. She remorselessly leaves, with no promises. Students get in a frenzy as Junki walks into the hallway. They giggle and some take pictures. An oblivious and disinterested Junki doesn't know he has a note stuck to his back, reading he belongs to Young-eun. He's just in teacher mode, wanting the students to quit the silliness and return back to their classrooms. Seo-yeon comes from a wealthy family, with a disappointed father, because she's married to a struggling man like Junki. The father was the one who got them a new apartment, and got Junki a job as a school instructor. Seo-yeon's parents don't fail to remind Junki over family dinner that they're keeping him afloat. Seo-yeon's sister marries a wealthy man who spoils her with gifts, and who their father takes a better liking to, wanting to involve him in his business deals. Junki runs into Young-eun at a convenience store. She asks him if he is a rugby player, which he affirms, and then she shows interest in learning the sport. Junki mentions there's a female team he can link her up with. Junki plays a match, and Young-eun is his very enthusiastic cheerleader, cheering so loudly that her male schoolmates can't stop wondering what on earth is going on. During a shower with his teammates, one of them teases Junki for Young-eun's display of affection. She's in his car waiting for him, seemingly asleep. He plays the gentleman, reaching over to help her put on her seatbelt, but on closer look, he sees she might be pretending. She asks if his leaning so close means he wants to kiss her, but he clarifies he was only trying to help with her seatbelt. She continues to be her questionable self throughout the ride. The next day at school, Young-eun and two other girls arrive late for sports practice. Junki finds himself paying attention to Young-eun like he's suddenly in a trance. He finds a forgotten hairpin by the tap area the students were washing off with and fondly holds onto it. At home, he watches a rugby match he's not quite paying attention to as images of Young-eun start to take over. He goes to check the laundry for the hairpin he picked earlier and sees that Seo-yeon has it on. She reasons he must have picked it up from school and deems it pretty enough for her to have. He makes love to his wife later that night, and she notes it's an intense than usual session. She takes off the hairpin, and Junki keeps staring at it as he holds on to her. It's a rainy day and the close of school. Junki waits out the downpour, but he's not alone. Young-eun also got stranded because of the rain and is waiting it out before heading out. How convenient. They take shelter in the stairwell. Young-eun is wet and shivering, as she had planned to run through the rain, but it was too heavy. She has a canned drink that's supposed to help with the cold, but she says that she would rather have strawberry milk. Junki terms it an obsession he thought she would have outgrown by now, but she relays that when she likes one thing, it's all she tends to want to have. He tells her she should prepare to leave, even though it's raining. He believes the rain will subside soon. She's in no hurry to leave though, as she likes being around her teacher. Junki doesn't want to entertain her flirtatious ways, and warns she'll face punishment if she keeps it up. He leads her to the hallway and pulls out his jersey for her to change into so she stops being cold. Young-eun smells his jersey dreamily, stating it smells of him. He directs her to the classroom to change, and Young-eun tries to lure him in with her, claiming she's scared. He refuses, but she's still able to get him to leave the door open while she changes. While he's doing his best to give her privacy, Young-eun complains that the zipper of the jacket isn't working. She insists it isn't working, and Junki ends up in the room, still trying to fight temptation. He finally tries to help her with the zipper, having troubles of his own, and gazing at her exposed bra in the process. It takes him a moment, but he's finally able to pull away from her doll-like eyes and ready lips. He wants to leave and tells her to handle herself, but the universe plays in her favor, and a thunderstrike takes out the electricity. Young-eun falls into his arms, pleading that she's scared and he shouldn't leave. Their embrace leads to a makeout session, and maybe it could have been more if they didn't hear movements from outside. Junki moves quickly and hides them both under a desk. A security man with his flashlight is parading the hallway, getting closer to where they're hiding. Junki has Young-eun under him, and she feels at his chest, commenting that his heart is racing fast. He would rather she stays quiet though. She remains noisy, complaining he's hurting her, so he shuts her up with his palm around her mouth, pressing hard amidst her struggles. The security guard reaches the direction of her struggling sound, asking into the darkness who's there. There's no answer, and he only leaves when he hears a different sound from the opposite direction. With the security man gone, Junki realizes Young-eun is unconscious. He tries to wake her up to no avail. In panic mode, he staggers into the hallway, dazed when the electricity comes back on, and he sees the security man and his wife. Junki leaves Young-eun behind and starts to go home with his wife. He makes an excuse to head back and pick up something he left, but his wife offers to go with him, and he decides to let it be. He reaches home and takes a shower, still dazed and inattentive to whatever his wife is saying. He goes back to the school and scales through the window to gain access to the building. When he reaches the classroom, Young-eun is missing, but she's left behind her phone. The next day at school, Junki earnestly checks for her, asking a student who confirms from two others that they haven't seen Young-eun. At his desk, he finds a pink package with his rugby jacket tucked in. Junki searches for her frantically, and she's the one who calls his attention, acting like nothing wrong has happened. He returns her phone, apologizes for the previous day, asks if anyone knows so far, and proposes that they keep it a secret. Young-eun agrees but goes ahead to blog about her encounter, posting it for anyone and everyone to see. Some students at school giggle while reading the post, and Minju investigates what has them so intrigued. Young-eun is confronted first by the principal, and she voices that the content of the blog is all fiction. The principal then warns Junki to stay clear of further rumors that could tarnish the school's image. Junki confronts Young-eun about her actions, but she has no tangible reply, and he voices that she's driving him crazy, although maybe at this point, he should have just outrightly called her crazy. He goes playing rugby, and a friend, after the match, sees his phone lit up with several texts from a contact saved as strawberry milk. The friend teases him for cheating, as one of the messages reads that he should meet her at the rooftop. Over drinks, Junki and his friends get discussing. He's considering quitting his teaching job to take up a vacancy as a coach. The friend is under the impression that he's having his second child, and the backstory, the team knows, is that Junki quit a professional career in rugby, in his prime. He got married to his wife because she was pregnant at the time, and his life ended up on a different trajectory. Junki's phone keeps ringing, and when he finally decides to check it, he sees Young-eun was the one calling. Young-eun lives in a grand apartment with a distant and working mother. Junki and Seo-yeon are out shopping when Young-eun has started stalking him. He quickly ushers his wife out of the shop before he notices Young-eun just standing outside the window and watching them both. A sleepy Junki answers a phone call. On hearing Young-eun being needy, he ends the call. Miss Young-eun leaves him gifts at his office desk at school with a message about her missing him, and he trashes the gifts in front of his colleagues. At home, his wife surprises him with a put-together nursery room for their unborn child. Their benefactor was Young Yoon, and she stopped by for dinner. An oblivious Seo Yeon welcomes her in, stating she was unaware Miss Young Ik-yoon is a student of her husband's. Jun-ki is quiet and uncomfortable at the dinner table, and Young-eun picks on that, taunting him with it. Young-eun voices she'll sleep over at their place, which Seo Yeon is fine with because her parents are out of town, and she'd be all alone at home. They just need a weary Jun-ki's permission. In the privacy of their room, Jun-ki tells Seo Yeon to stop tutoring and refund the tuition fee. Seo Yeon has already spent part of the fee though, so Jun-ki expresses his grievance. Young Yoon has a crush on him, hence him asking his wife to stop tutoring her. Seo Yeon doesn't take the news seriously, believing it's just a harmless crush, typical of kids her age. Young Yoon remains insane, and Jun-ki is ever gullible. She's able to lure him out of her matrimonial bed to the nursery room, where he struggles to fight temptation until he's finally subdued. Min-ju and Seo Yeon are in each other's company at the supermarket. Conversation reveals that the baby is due in 2 weeks, and everyone is on eggshells around Young Yoon because she's the daughter of a very influential man. During swimming lessons, Jun-ki calls out to a student Ju-hee to demonstrate CPR. The cheeky student kisses Jun-hee, entertaining her classmates. A livid Young-eun stealthily slashes Ju-hee's face while she's showering in the locker room. At the hospital, Min-ju mentions to Jun-hee that the school will handle the situation quietly, but she's curious to know if the blog post from Young Yoon is real or fictitious. Min-ju takes a drunk Jun-hee home. She and Seo Yeon help get him in bed. Then Seo Yeon confronts Min-ju about being more careful as they live in a small town where rumors easily fly, and in this case, people were quick to misinterpret Min-ju's closeness to Jun-ki as something more. Seo Yeon knows they're just old friends, but would still prefer no more gaslighting. Seo Yeon is tutoring Young Yoon when Young Yoon asks to try on her wedding ring. What starts as a light conversation takes a darker turn when Young Yoon starts talking about mutilation for the sake of someone she's fallen in love with. Seo Yeon ends their session for the day, but Young Yoon insists she'll wait for Jun-ki to get home first before she takes her leave. Jun-ki arrives home soon, and Young Yoon shamelessly throws herself at him in front of his wife. He shrugs her off, acknowledges his wife, then goes to have a change of clothes. Jun-ki has an unsettling dream of Young Yoon replacing his wife. He wakes up to the incessant ringing of the doorbell. It's no other than Young Yoon wanting assistance with opening a jar at an odd hour of the morning. Jun-ki and Young Yoon are alone in one of the school's auditoriums. Jun-ki doesn't want to cheat on his wife any longer, so Young Yoon slyly threatens to reveal their dark secret in return. Jun-ki professes to his wife that he wants to quit his teaching job and take up coaching. It pays less, and she doesn't like it because they need all the money they can get with their soon-to-be-born child. She's not up for taking the risk, even though Jun-ki expresses he'll be good at the coaching bee. He has something more dire to admit to her, but she dismisses him, saying she's heard enough for the night. Young Yoon confronts Seo Yeon about quitting the tutoring bee, so Seo Yeon explains her due date is around the corner. A smell triggers nausea, and Young Yoon ends up throwing up before gleefully announcing to Seo Yeon that she's pregnant. Seo Yeon follows her cheating husband undetected. From her view from below, she can see Jun-ki and Miss Young Yoon in the heat of passion. She battles tears and pain from the overwhelming hormones. Jun-ki holds on to Young Yoon's hand, while she dangles from a balcony in childlike fun. He eventually pulls her in and asks if she isn't scared, as he could have easily pushed her. She doesn't see why he should push her and proclaim her love for him. He apologizes, stating he has a wife and a child on the way. Young Yoon suggests things would be easier if his wife was gone, but Jun-ki gives her an incredulous look, laughs, and staggers out of the apartment, leaving her in tears. Jun-ki continues to space out, dazed and smoking during PE in front of the students. Back at home, Seo Yeon shows Young Yoon her wedding photos, recalling better times. Young Yoon indirectly tells Seo Yeon that she's in bondage, being married to Jun-ki. Seo Yeon retorts that romantic escapades are not enough to keep someone, and marriage is a whole lot more. She calls Young Yoon a toy Jun-ki plays with, and this infuriates Young Yoon, who claims she means more to her teacher. Seo Yeon is curious about how intimacy with Jun-ki feels like, and Young Yoon happily divulges, ready to taunt Seo Yeon with every detail. Seo Yeon bears listening, stoic even when Young Yoon passes out. She'd laced the girl's drink. She puts an unconscious Young Yoon in a wheelchair and aimlessly wheels her about until she runs into Min-ju. Min-ju doesn't want to be an accomplice, but Seo Yeon leverages on Min-ju's feelings and connection to Jun-ki. She won't allow Young Yoon to keep her pregnancy and ruin their lives, so she pleads that Min-ju helps her out. They drive Young Yoon to the hospital, where a medical abortion is about to be taken out on her. Seo Yeon and Min-ju nervously wait outside. The doctor sees them shortly, notifying that Young Yoon's hymen is still intact, and she isn't pregnant. They won't be getting a refund though, for wasting his time. While Junki is at school at his office desk, preparing a letter, Seo-yeon has an emotional breakdown in the bathroom. She promises her baby she'll take good care of it and shield it from every trouble. She then takes a still, unconscious Young-eun back to the apartment. When Young-eun regains consciousness, she talks about a dream she had where her body got cold and she was trying to run away but couldn't. Seo-yeon urges her to drink something she's placed to make Young-eun warm, and Young-eun asks if this isn't another ploy to knock her out. Seo-yeon tries to play dumb, but Young-eun puts two and two together. She grasps at her stomach and starts wailing that her pregnancy is gone. She asks how Seo-yeon could do this to her, but a confused Seo-yeon states that the pregnancy was imaginary and she's still a virgin. Young-eun demands how Seo-yeon could know this, affirming she's been and now her baby is. She throws a tantrum before redirecting her anger at Seo-yeon. She decides that if her baby is gone, then so should Seo-yeon. She launches at the heavily pregnant woman, who goes about defending herself. Both are screaming in the process and dangerously close to a balcony. Junki heads home just then and quickens his steps when he spots the scuffle. He peels his wife from Young-eun and tosses his play toy, "Sorry, student," aside. Young-eun laments about Seo-yeon taking her to the hospital, but Seo-yeon defends, the girl is insane and shouldn't be paid any mind. Junki, not convinced, asks Seo-yeon to explain what Young-eun is talking about, but she soon goes into labor, and both Young-eun and the discussion are forgotten in the apartment. Junki quickly hoists his wife in his arms to take her to the hospital. Junki waits anxiously for news on his wife in the hospital's waiting room. He's finally let in to see the new mom and healthy baby. A nurse eventually has to wheel the baby to the incubator, and both Junki and Seo-yeon are left alone to brine in silence. Minju comes too and is by Seo-yeon's side. She asks if everything is okay, and Seo-yeon thinks she's talking about the baby, so she elucidates she's healthy, even though she came early. Minju is referring to Seo-yeon, asking her if she can forgive her husband. Seo-yeon muses that Junki is her daughter's husband, so it's only inevitable. As Minju is about to leave, she sees Young-eun alone and frantic in the hospital's reception. Minju asks about Seo-yeon's wife, and Minju replies, both mother and child are fine. She offers to drive Young-eun home as it's quite late. In the car, Minju tells Young-eun not to equate affection to love, especially romantic affection from men. Young-eun talks about her dream of being in the hospital with Minju present. Minju does her best not to crack under pressure, playing along that Young-eun's dream was a weird one. Young-eun doesn't say anymore, but plays around with her penknife, making Minju nervous, and definitely putting the audience on the edge of their seat on what crazy move she'll pull next. Minju asks Young-eun to put the penknife away, then soon arrives at Young-eun's apartment. Young-eun gets out of the car and hovers. She points out she forgot her penknife in the passenger seat, and Minju hands it to her. Minju doesn't see it coming, the swift slash across her neck. Young-eun does it twice, spraying herself with her teacher's blood and rooted there to watch Minju bleed out. Meanwhile, Junki and his family are still at the hospital. Seo-yeon wants to know if Junki is happy with her, or if he's staying by her side for the sake of obligation. She admits all she wants is to be his partner, and the mother of his children, and at peace with her family. Junki states she has that, but she reasons if that's the case, then she's supposed to be happy. Their conversation is halted when a nurse rushes in with panic written all over her face. Young-eun has the baby and makes her escape, while Seo-yeon and Junki look for their baby and query the hospital staff. Seo-yeon gets a call from Young-eun informing her she has her baby. Seo-yeon rushes to the elevator and takes it alone, shutting her husband out. He manages to catch up with her as she's boarding a taxi, but Seo-yeon insists she must go alone like Young-eun requested. He's left following her trail. Seo-yeon finds Young-eun still in the utility room, and Seo-yeon pleads, for her child. Young-eun taunts her, inferring that it might be too late already. Seo-yeon continues to plead until Young-eun gestures to the water tank. Seo-yeon climbs the ladder and jumps in an attempt to save her child, but finds out Young-eun has tricked her with a dummy. Young-eun closes the lid and runs more water into the tank with the purpose of drowning her rival. Junki gains access to the building and finds his baby girl safe and sound in one of the rooms. His phone rings and he thinks it's Seo-yeon, so he tells her the good news. It's Young-eun, however, on the line giving him the ultimatum between picking her or his wife. Junki rushes to the rooftop where Young-eun mentions she's waiting, and she's elated to see him because he picked her. She hugs him, and he pushes her off, tired of her nonsense and wanting to know where his wife is. When Young-eun sees things aren't taking the turn she expected, she throws a tantrum, trying to stop Junki from rescuing his wife, who he's heard calling out from one of the rooms. Junki pushes Young-eun aside and goes to help Seo-yeon out. On her rescue, Seo-yeon's first concern is the baby who Junki promises is fine and safe. The couple hug, and Junki's window view is Young-eun parading the edge of the roof. He rushes back out and pleads with Young-eun to get down from the edge. She doesn't listen, so he climbs up to get her. She wants to know if what they had was real, but he has no answer, continuously pleading with her not to fall. Tears trickle down her eyes as she keeps asking, and not getting, the answer she wants. She lets herself, but Junki is able to grab onto an arm, barely able to hold on. He struggles to pull her up and asks her to hold on tight to him. Seo-yeon shows up, and Junki wants her to assist him, but she stays right by the entrance, preferring Junki drops the crazy girl so they can move on with their lives. Young-eun starts to slip and Junki cries. She seeks to know what exactly they had, if it wasn't love. Junki does his best, but his strength wanes and Young-eun slips out of his grip. Seo-yeon chants to her consciousness that they haven't done anything wrong, and Young-eun fell because she wanted to. There was nothing they could do. For a second, Junki imagines she falls into a pool of water. In reality, she's a broken doll in a pool of her blood. Months later, Seo-yeon is on mommy duties, and Junki is asked to take out the trash on his way out. Part of what he disposes of is his rugby jacket. He then goes to the bleachers, void of people, and perfect for him to think and cry.